So, I am making what may be a terrible decision, and you may get to watch it play out live on camera on the internet over the course of a couple months. In an effort to keep myself from burning out on Minecraft, I've decided to start playing some Sims. And you're watching me build the community building for what's going to be the start of a legacy challenge. If you don't know, a legacy challenge in The Sims is where you start with one sim and you work your way through with 10 generations. I've mainly been watching Lil Simsy's legacy challenge right now, and it's hilarious and amazing. She's also on short lifespan, which is insane, but I'm just really interested in making one of my own and seeing how it goes. It just seems really fun and, free content. If I'm already playing The Sims, why would I not, record me playing The Sims and throw it on the internet because I am that person? One of the things I've noticed a lot of problems with in legacy challenges is just like a general lack of access to skill building and stuff, because a lot of people start with a rags to riches scenario where you start on an empty lot with 0 Somalians and you build your sim and the family from the ground up. And in an effort to make this a little easier on myself, I decided to cheat just a little bit by making a community lot that my Sims would have access to, that would have farming, skill building, lots of, it's got a kitchen that they can use. I also think it's like a good thing to have in a community, like in real life. I would love it if I had a place to just paint and play piano, because I don't have the ability to do those things at home. I can paint miniatures, but So here I'm just trying to get an idea of what the layout of the lot and the main building is going to be. If I can try and figure out what things are going to go where, it'll make it a lot easier down the line when I go to put everything together, because I won't realize halfway through that I don't have enough space for something. I do leave a decent amount of space open for moving things around, but in general, I really just wanted to know what was going to go on. This gardening area, even as I'm looking at it now, is probably way too big, but I thought it would be cool to have a large community garden. I think that's something that more communities should have. And I also have these little planters over there on the side that will disappear and I have to put them back later, but they're still cute. I really wanted the outside of this house to still fit into the surrounding area, but I think all of the siding options in The Sims look like absolute garbage, so I did go with brick. But beyond that, I didn't try and do anything too crazy style-wise. I tried to keep it pretty basic. I think I did a good job of that. Doing any sort of Maxis match sort of stuff can be difficult. I also chose not to use the debug menu here for a lot of my landscaping, which looking back may have been a better idea. I just don't generally use the debug menu, so I'm not super familiar with it. I also didn't want to do anything too crazy on the landscaping because my computer's not amazing, so it doesn't load all of the individual entities and plants super well. Which, yeah, you can see here I have to replace the vertical planters and add some bee boxes. And then because of that, I have to resize the entire garden again because I don't think that the bees are able to reach the plants in the middle. And I do actually want them to be able to reach. I had so much fun designing this outside area, even if it's not super detailed. I just don't normally focus on the outside in my Sims builds, and actually taking the time to think about it and do that was an interesting challenge, an interesting just change of pace. Since it's a legacy challenge, I thought having a playground would be important because a lot of the playground equipment I believe is good for movement skills. When you're a toddler, I don't have the toddler stuff pack, so I may need to purchase that before I get too far into this challenge. Otherwise, I think this is going to be very difficult. Also, those playground sets are massive, but I also believe they're good for imagination if the kids play with the parent. So that's going to be really handy down the line. I will not be playing on short lifespan, so I will have some time to do actual skill building with my Sims, and I think that's really going to make this a little easier on me. It won't be as much of a nightmare as some of the other challenges I've seen. Short lifespan can just absolutely drain you. Again, because we're doing rags to riches, I also wanted to have a place to cook I start here with just a grill because I wasn't certain if there would be a kitchen inside. I do add one later, but even just having a place to make like franks and beans is cool. I have some woodworking stations because I wanted to be able to do just handiness in general for eventually repairing and upgrading items. The chest is really important for logic, and also I just thought it looked really cute out front. A lot of the parks have chests, but this is cuter. Also, I have a bug to pick with the Seasons windows. This is unrelated, but you can see how these Strangerville windows have white inlays on the inner part of the window pane. The matching Seasons windows for the doors that I used have a black inlay, which the doors don't have, and I just find that infuriating. They're from the same pack, they're meant to be used together, and yet they don't match. I forgot that I added a dumpster. That's going to be very handy for dumpster diving later on. Here, I changed the picnic tables to something more fun and colorful because the other ones were super boring. And now we move on to the inside of the house. This is where I really start to get an idea of what my layout is going to look like. I want a reading and sitting area. I want a couple of different rooms with skill building activities. I wanted a computer room because I think that's something more community spaces should have, especially in our incredibly technologically stressed society. I'm a big fan of when you have a brick building in The Sims, using the brick inside on the internal walls, because then it's like you have the difference in building materials. I think it adds a little more realism to builds, and it's also how a lot of buildings work. Sometimes you don't bother to plaster the inside of your house. It's a little bad insulation wise, but I'm assuming this is an old building anyway, so it probably hasn't been updated and renovated to have better insulation. All of the couches in The Sims kind of suck. None of them ever fit the vibe of the house that I'm working on. So I'm stuck with this like drab olive couch that doesn't have a matching swatch to any of the chairs that I could find. Maybe it's in another pack, I don't know. I don't own as many Sims pack as I would like. I'm going to leave a link to a Venmo in the description if you want to send me money to buy Sims packs. I'm not going to say no. I can promise you it will go directly to Sims packs if that's what you want it to go to. I also wish that there were some more in-between rug sizes, which is difficult to do, I know. Nothing fit there like I wanted it to, and I believe I end up leaving it as an empty space, and that is so frustrating to just have an empty space. Same thing here. I was very frustrated with how just like hallway and empty-esque this space was. I managed to make it into like a little couch area for you to wait for while your friends go to the bathroom, but I'm not happy with this like 2x8 space. It's so annoying that I couldn't think of a better way to do it, but I wanted the bathrooms to be a little more private. I also spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out how to move the bathrooms back a little bit, and it's just the conjunction of these stairs to these bathrooms did not go well. I can't explain why. It's so confusing. But I think I wanted to focus on making the bathrooms look a little grungy, which is why that inner part is just entirely brown. Like, there are some places that will put a lot of thought into how their bathroom looks, but this is not that sort of place. These people have more important things to do. They're leading political campaigns and fundraising and trying to better their community. They don't have time to make sure the bathroom looks good. They're doing so many other things. Here is where I decide that the only thing I can put here is a small kitchen. It's nothing fancy. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. As I'm watching this now, I'm realizing that I think I forgot to put a bin in. So I am going to have to go back and do this. Also, with the exception of the bathroom door, very few doors in this build. I really wanted it to be open and inviting. I do go back and change it later, but that wallpaper is custom content. I have a couple of pieces of CC that I really like, but I didn't want to use CC in this challenge on the off chance that someone really liked this build and I wanted to put it on the gallery for them. Uh, this is another space where I had a difficult time trying to figure out what it could possibly hold. In the end, I just threw a painting there. I think I use an expensive one because I assume it'll help the environment score, but I normally build on like tiny home residential lots, especially for any sort of challenge or scenario. So having any sort of space at all, especially a 9 tile space where there's really nothing going on, frustrates me to my core. Also, I spent way too long placing these lights. It doesn't look like it was a lot of time, but I think I spent like 10 minutes on that. Because this whole build took me about an hour and a half. Here, I realized that I didn't have any sort of health stuff besides the wellness skills from the yoga mat, and I wanted some fitness stuff, so I just throw some gym equipment in here. It's a large area that I then don't have to think about, and that is a big bonus. I could not fit a punching bag in there. That's fine. It's not that big a deal. You don't really need one. I guess technically, as you can see, I could have fitted in, but it looked bad, so I decided against it, and I just throw a painting on the wall or something. I'm really trying not to stuff my builds as much, especially for something like this. I don't want it to feel cluttered so much so that the Sims can't get through. This room is the antithesis of that. I should have not tried to fit 3 desks in this room. Not only do I fit 3 desks in this room, I fit a bookcase and a chair, I think. We'll see in just a second, but I put too much stuff in this room. This is a very small room to have this much just raw space taken up by stuff. I can't believe I tried to put a couch there. Yeah, I just throw a little chair. It's something to kind of fill that space that honestly didn't need to be filled, but I wanted it to be filled, and so I filled it. And then I throw more of that art on the wall. I like with a lot of the later packs how much just generic wall art there is. It's very convenient. Here, I believe, is where I placed my first inner door that's not a bathroom door, because I wanted this to be sort of like a practice room. I do that same idea. Oh yeah, that's where I realized that I had messed up the bathroom so terribly badly. But I wanted these to have sort of practice room vibes. So I throw a bunch of instruments in there, and I believe a couple of mics, just so that you don't bother other Sims by being able to hear yourself practicing. And where I imagine my Sims themselves will spend a lot of time is up here in this sort of painting area. It's painting is such a good way to make money, especially early in the game. It's not a difficult skill to get up. I think I gave this slot 2 different traits that would improve painting. I went zoomed out on the build and realized that I wanted to use more of this wallpaper with the banana leaves to try and bring the build together. And here is where I fixed the bathroom. And here, right now, in this moment, is me realizing that I may have fixed the bathroom, but I didn't fix everything else. Anyway, here's some final screenshots of the build, which were a bit of a nightmare to get. In this first one, I thought the way everyone took inside screenshots was using first person mode, and it turns out I was very wrong, but you can see it looks a little wonky because of that. I just really wanted a good photo of the outside of the build. I feel like this sort of sitting area ended up feeling more cozy than I thought it did, partially because of the mismatched furniture. I don't know. I'm really happy with how this room came out, even after I moved things around a bit. I have a feeling my Sims are going to end up spending a lot of time in here just based on the careers I feel like they might end up going with, so I'm really glad that this room doesn't look completely awful. I'm very into it. I love this wallpaper so much. I honestly only took this screenshot to show off the fact that once I fixed the bathroom placement, I had room for a little table and chairs, meaning that this area was no longer a bit of wasted space, and I am very happy with that fact. So you can't see it in this photo, but I promise right off the right of the screen, I did put a bin in. I was also able to add a couple more counters, again because of having moved the bathrooms around. Because I tried to use a sim in first person mode to take these photos originally, I am in live mode, and you can see that some Sims have already made their way onto the community lot and started using it, which I'm really happy with. I think it's really going to be neat to see how many different Sims come and use all of the skill building stuff around here, which really just makes potential spouses my future Sims will have more skilled, and I see that as a big plus. I also made sure to get a better photo of the outside area with the playground and the garden. I had a lot of fun working on that outside area. It's not something I normally put a lot of focus on when it comes to like aesthetics. It's more about throwing functional stuff on, and I just really enjoyed how it ended up looking. But that is all the time we have. That is our build, and I am so excited to start this Legacy Let's Play. I'm truly ecstatic. I cannot stress enough how excited I am. Again, I won't be playing on short lifespan because I don't have a death wish. And I will see you guys next time. Jelly out.